Hey guys, welcome to Wrestling Daze and welcome to today's opinions video. I think this is a really good one. Obviously yesterday we did one where we focused and dialed in to who you think is in need of a change. Who do you think needs a new gimmick, a new direction? I thought it was a brilliant video. I really enjoyed it. And so today we're going to talk about the biggest botch of 2024 so far. Now, the word botch, I'm sure, conjures up in-ring, you know, people making mistakes in-ring, but I wanted to just expand it a little bit because I think there's a few areas that can suffer botches. So it could be creative. You know, it might be that they've gone in completely the wrong direction and they've botched it. So it could be creative with storyline or a new direction or something like that. Production, so graphics or camera shots or pyro or something to do with production. Or, of course, the one that I think people think about the most, which is in-ring, making mistakes during matches. And I do want to start getting into the habit of kind of just putting my 2 cents in at the start. I did it yesterday, and I'll do it today. And for me, the one that comes to mind, it might be because it was so recent, is that 3 count. I think that 3 count... you just don't see anything like it. I mean, it's just not something we tend to see in WWE, where the referee counts 2 and then has the time to count a 3 and basically chooses not to. I know that Damien should have got his shoulder up, but word is he suffered a stinger, which means that he was kind of like partially numb for a moment there, so he couldn't get his shoulder up, like he wasn't physically able to get his shoulder up. And in that moment, referees certainly were trained. I don't know if it's still the case, but they were trained that you always count the 3, right? For the integrity of the match. So for me, that's the biggest botch. I can't defend that. Even if Damian Priest has suffered like an injury, the refs are told what to do in that moment, and it is count the 3, and the ref chose to not do it. And then in the same match as well, Drew trying to cash in his money in the bank. And we all knew that CM Punk would cost him. That means that we have completely just thrown that money in the bank away. We've just thrown it away. We've just put a little bit more fuel on a fire that was already raging. It just didn't need it. We could have given that briefcase to Jey Uso. We could have given it to Andrade. We could have given it to LA Knight. We could have given it to flipping anybody rather than just waste it the way that we did so. Considering both of those things happened in the same match, I'm in very little doubt as to what match is the biggest botch of the year. It's that one for me. So those are my thoughts. Let's have a look at yours. We've had 41 comments. And so we've got Jimmy, who says the biggest botch of the year is trying to make Solo the tribal chief. That Jeff Delaney said the camera direction on the Seth running in during the Shield entrance at Mania was pretty invisible. That should have been given more time. Do you know, I don't know if you ever saw it, but there is another angle of Seth getting in the ring, and it looks bad. Seth picks up an injury in that match. I believe it was earlier in the night, and so he has to like hobble his way to the ring. So I do wonder if that the fact, you know, we were kind of looking for him in a way, and then all of a sudden he's in the ring and then he just gets laid out, you know? I mean, what I would say is he probably should have had some effect. I do agree with that. Him getting in the ring and basically just getting laid out was not a good look for Seth. Of course, they tried to tell the story that Roman was having to make a choice. I don't buy that moment, personally. I think Roman had enough time to hit Seth with a chair and then, holding the same chair, smack Cody with it as well. I don't think he had to choose in that moment, but that's the story they were trying to tell. But yeah, it's really interesting if you see the fan footage of just how compromised Seth was in that moment. So that's a really interesting one. That Jeff Delaney, that's a real interesting one. I do agree that Seth probably should have had more of an impact in that moment. Kelly said the botched 3 counts for Damian Seth, and the fact that Seth wasn't even mad about it. Yeah, that's true. Good point, actually. Afterwards, he was like, these things happen in sport. And then he was livid at CM Punk, even though the referee cost him first. He should have been raging about it. They just tried to blow it over like it was something simple. We all saw it. It was huge up. At least Seth is going to get his rematch if Priest somehow beats Gunther. Unfortunately for Damian, I don't see it happening. If Gunther wins, Seth should be first contender. They need to make it right. Honorary Zeus of AIW said the Tonga lower blow, boom, where he actually got the low blow wrong. And he ended up punching, was it Kevin Owens? In the anus. Yes. Brendan said the biggest botch is Joe Hendry. Magic Dax said the ref forgetting how to do his job. He trained it all his life for. Whether the music was supposed to hit or not, if it did hit, you still have to count the 3. You don't stop because you hear music, let alone hearing nothing. Must have been the air that he heard. I don't know, Triple H even said he was looking forward to speaking to the referee after the press conference to see what he saw that no one else saw. So even Triple H kind of addressed it after. Cody Fan Account said easily the ref during the set. Yeah, this is pretty unanimous at the moment, isn't it? Easily the ref during the Seth Damian match. He trained for that job and he flipped it up. It was a bad job by the ref. 100, unless Drew's music was supposed to hit during that time periods. Again, if it hits or it doesn't hit, I mean, what the referees are told, you count the shoulders down, you count the 3. If the referee had done that, then it's not the ref's fault. The person that gets the blame is the person that should have pressed play on the music, right? Referees counted the 3. None of us would have blamed the ref, because we would have all seen the shoulders down and we would have seen the ref counting, and you can't blame the ref for that. So regardless of whether the music was meant to hit, not meant to hit, I actually think the truth is that Damian was meant to get his shoulder up, but he had a stinger and he was numb down the one side and he wasn't able to get it up in time. And so, like, the ref basically had a decision to make. The ref chose to not count the 3. Didn't he? I mean, I do feel sorry for him because he knows what's happening. He knows that there's meant to be a cash in and there's meant to be CM Punk foiling a cash in. And if he'd have counted the 3, it could have just ended everything in that moment, you know? And yeah, you can kind of understand what it was going through his head in that like split second. But I agree. It's my biggest botch as well. Bailey said Seth Rollins versus Damian, the very obvious 3 count at Money in the Bank, or Cody Rhodes being renamed Talent Name. Yes, you remember that on screen, Talent Name, rather than it saying Cody Rhodes, and being the women's tag champ at Clash. Gaming Fanatic said Drew winning Money in the Bank for no reason, and then Seth versus Damian being screwed over by Drew, and then Punk. It just wasn't needed for the storyline, quite frankly. There was already a feud beforehand between Drew and Punk, and Seth still hated both regardless. Nando coming in with something different. Let's go. So Nando said Chad's booking starts off the year getting sympathy from the crowds just to lose to Sammy after entering last in a gauntlet match, then trains Sammy to beat Gunther at Mania just to turn heel and then lose to Sammy again afterwards. Later breaks up with Alpha Academy in a super anti-climactic way, starts feuding with the Wyatts just for him and his new faction to most likely get fed to them at SummerSlam in the first match as a faction. Thankfully, he knocks everything out the park with match quality and segments wise, but it's still hard to watch as a fan. I think that is brilliantly written. I do not disagree with any of that. Him losing after entering last, him training up Sammy and then just turning on him after, then going on to not win the title from Sammy. Then I agree, the whole Alpha Academy breakup was really anticlimactic. We were waiting for this big moment, this big, Otis standing up to Chad, and we sort of got it, but it wasn't the moment that it could have been. Yeah, I completely agree. I think you've worded that excellent. Eduardo said, Kairi Sane's recent booking. She has it all. Kairi can be a top face of any brand. Triple H is blind. Jeremy said 2 words, talent name. I like the fact you added the picture. Well done. Well done. Coach Co said some successes, but a lot of failures. So, is it the Def Rebel? There we go. Def Rebel, nice and simple. Def Rebel. So, Koji Co, not a fan of the work of Def Rebel. Johnny said, botch the Damien Seth pinfall fail, and creative not putting a rocket on LA Knight yet. I'm worried that Knight is going to lose at SummerSlam against Logan Paul. I think he gets the win, to be honest, but I mean, listen, there's a few matches that I've thought are going to go one way and then they don't, so. Here's Shaquem. He said, this video speaks for itself. So here he goes for the low blow, misses. So the first one misses, right? The second one hits his brother in the head. So this one, look, he goes, boom. So I don't know if everyone has seen that, but the first one, he actually punches Kevin Owens in his anus. And then the other one, he goes all the way under, but ends up punching his own brother in the head. Tungaloa to the rescue. Brilliant. Bill's Mafia, since 1987, said putting the strap on Cody. Absolute shit show. Brady said Damian Priest no kick out. Jello Man said Tungaloa's botched low blow. Like, how do you possibly botch that? Colton said Damian not kicking out at Money in the Bank. Matt has said ropes 1, Priest 0. And I would also like to shout out Titus for the greatest of all time. So, oh God, that's the same match, isn't it? Is that the same match? Is that the same match, or is that one a different match? That is, look at it. No, it's a different one. The other one was at Money in the Bank. Oh my God, this has just been a cursed feud, isn't it? It's just been an absolutely cursed feud. I'd forgotten about that moment, you know. I had forgotten. I can't stop watching it. And Drew had to try and get him out as well. Oh my God. Oh God. I would say it'll never be forgotten, but the ref one actually took over from it for me. Oh God, that is so good. Michael said Damian Priest not kicking out at Money in the Bank. Cricket said, I think the 3 count during the Damien Seth match is definitely up there. But personally, I think wrestlers' music is super important to their character and the vibe that they bring to the ring. The recent Def Rebel botches by changing music have definitely gotten to me. Jupton said, honestly, might be a little different, but releasing Dijak, Ricochet, Xia Li, Jinder, and Damon Kemp, no, this counts. They're all very talented. They should have been pushed harder, especially Dijak. It's an excellent one. That counts because that's WWE botching it. They're dropping the ball on some fantastic talent there. So, no, that counts. Child of Jezebel said, Otis turning on Gable still doesn't make much sense to me. I get that they don't want damage Chad's heel master persona, but why drag it so far? And I'm going to be honest, I'm happy about the Wyatt 6 so far, but I'm not sure why Bo copiated Gacy last NXT gimmick on his debut. Not sure why Bo copycatted Gacy's last NXT gimmick on his debut. I'd like to flesh that out a little bit more, to be honest. See what you're referring to there. So, okay. Musically High said Cody and Carmelo high-flying botch during Melo's first match on SmackDown. I was nervous that Cody would be injured after finally securing the belt, like Finn Balor 2.0. I was also worried that Melo would be blamed for the injury and lose traction of favour. I love them both. So a really good one. That one had slipped my mind as well, actually. Batman said Tonga Loa botching a low blow at Money in the Bank, and there's Lego Batman laughing his head off. Mosey the Wrestling God said, I think the biggest botch of the year is Damian getting stuck in the ropes in his match against Drew. There is a part of me that believes that this botch against Seth was planned, but I can't imagine what would be going through his mind in that moment where he is stuck and that's... Oh, God, it must have been a nightmare. Nishi said, I think Damian not kicking out at Money in the Bank is unfortunate, but a critical error. Money in the Bank briefcase should be given to a breakout star. Drew versus Punk didn't need the briefcase as the feud is hotter than hell already. Completely agree. I think these are brilliant. Fisticuff said, in ring, Seth Damian pinfall. Not saying it's the ref's fault, but that spot in general. I'm saying it's the ref's fault. Creative said Solo leading the bloodline. They should have positioned Jacob to be the new tribal chief, not Solo. I don't dislike Solo, the person, but man, he lacks charisma at the moment. Sorry, Solo. I ain't watching this, don't worry about it. Erase Your Mind said Tangaloa's tainted low blow. Bray Wyatt Forever said the biggest botch I can think of is Rhea Ripley's return. It was built up perfectly, and then she just walks to the ring. She could have at least slapped Dom. That's a good shout, actually. That was going to be a huge return, and she started like walking down. Liv ran away. She got in the ring, looked at Dom, said a few words, just started walking to the back again. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Big Slick Ace Diamond said Joe Hendry not winning a TNA championship tonight was a major botch. It's not WWE though. Dustin said Cody Rhodes women's champion. Well, he's certainly not won that championship, so. Lucio said Priest not kicking out. Cody and Carmelo meme. They are all good wrestlers, but sometimes botches happen. Still appreciate their work. Brandon said, so far it has to be Jey Uso. Okay, so I wasn't expecting a Jey Uso shout. He sells merch. He's great in ring. Crowd engagement is top notch. He should be in way more main event scenes and be running for titles. Personally wish he had the Intercontinental. He was super close to taking out Gunther. I hope they do him justice, right? So you're saying he's red hot. We should be doing even more with him. CSR said the decision to let Dijak go. Michael said Damian not kicking out when Seth got the 3 count, then finding out it was a timing issue with Drew's music hitting. That's not what I heard, actually. I heard that it was a stinger, and that's why he didn't get his shoulder up in time. I don't think he was lying there waiting for music, so... I think we're hearing contradicting stories, but this, for me, regardless, is why it's the ref's fault. Because whether music was meant to hit, whether Damian was meant to get his shoulder up, doesn't really matter. We know that it wasn't meant to be a 3, and whatever the reason, the ref decided not to, didn't he? 1, 2, do I do it? Do I do it? Do I do it? I'm not doing it. 2. The ref made that choice. That was the ref's choice, and he made that choice when there is no choice to be made. Killer Queen said Dragon Lee, they haven't done anything with him since the draft. If they had no creative plans for him on the main roster, then they should have left him in NXT where he was killing it. Badger Sprite said the botched kick out with Seth and Priest. Martin said the botched pin, Seth and Priest. And Dado said jobbing out Blair Davenport. She's too good for that. Yeah, that's a good point, actually. She lost to Naomi like in one of her first matches after like stalking Naomi and Bailey for a while, and then we put her on TV and she just loses. Like, that was pretty random, actually. So yeah, good one. Right, I thought there was some excellent suggestions there. I thought there was some really I thought there were some really good botches there. We'll definitely circle back to this at the end of the year and get your thoughts on what the botch. So maybe we'll see something that beats. I feel like it's the pin that's leading the way at the moment. So maybe by the end of the year, something beats it. So keep your eyes peeled because there will be this question certainly again later in the year. And many more questions like this coming up as we continue to do these opinion videos. Thanks a lot for watching. Appreciate the support. I'll see you again next time. Bye for now.